I'm James Rule. Welcome to the Lonely Leader podcast, where we help existing and aspiring leaders find clarity, build resilience, drive performance, and enhance fulfillment. Today, we're talking about another leadership essential, discipline, which I believe is a foundation for high performance, not just for you as an individual, as a leader, but also for the wider team that you are tasked with leading. So let me open up by asking you this question. What does discipline mean to you? Unfortunately, perhaps it's rooted in our upbringing, our school, our education, but discipline often means severity, punishment, lack, negative connotations that don't exactly inspire us to explore this leadership essential in more detail. But in reality, for me, one of the blessings of the work that I do is I get to work with a really diverse group of people in roles and sectors all around the world. And I love to see those unifying traits, those unifying themes that deliver success, that deliver results, that allow people to be truly high-performing leaders over the long term. And discipline is one of those traits. And it's not about punishment. For me, I would say discipline sits within three core areas. If I was trying to articulate it, I'd say that it's the ability to choose what matters over what is often the easiest thing to do. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't necessarily feel like it. We're not robots. We don't have high levels of motivation every single day, but we need to be able to just do what needs to be done consistently. And finally, it is that point, consistency. You don't do what needs to be done one day, miss 5, do it again one day, miss 4. It's about avoiding drift. So many of us have experienced that drift where we're just not quite on point. We're not quite delivering at the level we want. And then we try and give ourselves a shake, and then we get back on track, and then we drift again. Discipline is the antidote to that. It prevents that drift. So choosing what matters most over what feels easiest, doing what needs to be done, even when we don't feel like it, and doing that consistently. That, I hope, sets the tone for this episode. It's looking at discipline in a positive connotation. I'm going to step from this point. I'm going to debunk some of the most common myths that I see. I'm going to draw upon examples. I love to bring out examples from the real world of people that have truly excelled as a consequence of embracing discipline. And as I always do, I will then share a series of actionable takeaways for you to build on the level of discipline you've already got. And if you feel that you really lack that, have no fear. These takeaways are implementable immediately. You can listen to this episode and start making steps to find a high level of discipline in your life, because you will reap the rewards as a consequence if you are able to do that. Now, before we dive into those myths, if I can just make one more statement that's always really helped me when I think of discipline, and that is the notion that discipline is about being reliable to yourself and to others. Now, I don't know how that resonates with you, but there's some power behind that for me. I really enjoy that notion of being able to rely on yourself and that others can rely on you. Discipline drives that. And you'll know of the leaders that you admire and respect, you can rely on them in good times and in challenging times. So as we step through this episode, I hope that's just another frame of reference that makes you want to explore this more deeply. So let's dive into 3 of the most common myths I see when I'm discussing discipline with clients. Myth number 1, discipline means doing everything alone. For some reason, we've got it in our heads that if we're disciplined, we can be the master of every task and do it at the highest level. It isn't about perfection. That's a complete myth for me. No individual can do it all. We've talked about this in episodes around delegation. Yes, I want you to find discipline, but no, that does not mean I want you to think you have to do everything alone. The same principle of a high-performing team presides. You've got to find good people. You've got to Lead by example, show them your discipline, absolutely, but then delegate to them, trust them, and allow them to grow. We want to build a disciplined, high performing team. It's not about you doing everything yourself. That is the first myth that I want to debunk today. Myth number two, discipline means you never slip. Not true. We'll all make mistakes. We'll all make decisions or take actions that don't quite work out as we want, irrespective of our field, whether we're in sport, whether we're in business, whatever sector we're in. But discipline gives us a power to reset quickly, to get back on our feet, to course correct. It prevents us drifting, wallowing in frustration or self-pity at making a mistake. So do not labor under that misguided notion that, well, if I make mistakes, I'm not disciplined. I don't know where this rhetoric comes from, but I wonder if it resonates with you. I see it a lot. Myth number one, I've got to do it all myself. Myth number two, I've got to be perfect. I can't make a mistake. I've got to have the discipline. No, have the discipline to learn, course correct, get back on track quickly. And myth number three, discipline is all about intensity. No, discipline is about consistency. Yes, there will be moments when you have to dig in and work that little bit harder. There's times when we need intensity. But discipline is not, well, I'll really be on point, blitz something for one day of the week and then drift for six, as I said at the top of this episode. So it's about consistency. It's about doing what needs to be done on a consistent basis. That doesn't mean you need to be some sort of super extreme performer every day. It's the basics, doing the basics at a consistently high level. Intensity comes and goes, but don't labor under that misconception that if I'm not at extreme intensities of performance every day, then I'm not being disciplined. Again, I'm just unpacking some of this. Not every one of these myths will resonate with you, but I see it a lot, and I want to get these barriers out the way early so we can start to embrace the takeaways and the steps that allow you to become more disciplined. As my backdrop probably suggests, I love to read. Reading has long been a passion of mine. It helps relax me. I find it great for my mental health, but fundamentally, it informs my work. It gives me perspective, reinforcement, and validation on a lot of the theories and frameworks that I believe in. And I love to read around high performing individuals. I'm blessed to be able to meet with many, to work with many, but there are hundreds, if not thousands of them all around us, and we can't always get immediate access to them. Why is this important? Well, I think when we see people walking the path ahead of us, when we see tangible evidence of people doing impressive, often spectacular things, then we can look underneath the surface and say, what drives that? So in every episode, I pull out examples. Now, these examples are never meant to overwhelm you, or I can't be at that level. I talked recently in a previous episode about the likes of J.K. Rowling, and you look at where she is, but you look at where she began and look at the journey these people have been on, and you realize they're flesh and blood. They're normal people just like you and I. So let me pull out some examples around discipline. I often lean into the sporting context because I have a passion for sport. I spent a huge part of my career being a CEO in the sporting sector, and also prior to that, being a professional rugby player in the sporting sector. But these examples do not require you to be a sports fan. That is an important distinction. It requires you just to listen to the context of what I'm sharing. So the first example I'm going to pull out is a gentleman called Tom Brady. Tom Brady played American football, and he's widely regarded as one of the greatest players in his position, the position of quarterback, ever to play the game. Now, for those non-sport fans, you'll be rolling your eyes, but bear with me. He won 7 Super Bowls, the ultimate end-of-season climatic game in that competition. He won it 7 times. But, and here's the big but, when you wind the clock back to the draft system, when the professional teams pick their recruits, the higher you place in the draft, the more sought after you are. Tom Brady was drafted number 199th. 198 players were drafted ahead of him, which means he was very much down at the bottom. Why was that? Well, people thought he wasn't strong enough, he wasn't quick enough, he didn't throw the ball well enough, and yet he played into his forties. He won the Super Bowl 7 times. Why am I laboring this point? Well, he built his career around discipline, that consistent approach to how he trained, how he recovered, what he ate, how he analyzed film. His preparation and his consistent discipline was a non-negotiable. And that took somebody from the 199th draft pick to arguably the most successful player in his position in the history of American football. And I really just want to anchor that example in because I believe it gives hope to each and every one of us who may not be blessed with the highest level of natural talent. But if we're willing to bring discipline and couple that up with the talent we have and be disciplined in consistently showing up and consistently investing in our own growth and development, then we can do truly special things. What is the equivalent of winning 7 Super Bowls in your sector? How good can you become? Discipline, why I said at the beginning, is a foundation for high performance because a lot of people struggle with it. It's your competitive advantage. Find it, embrace it, use it, and watch the results flow. The next example I want to share is David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL and an ultra marathon record holder, somebody who does amazing things in terms of their physical fitness. Now, before you tune out and say, what relevance does this have to me? Just like Tom Brady, I want to wind back and share the story. So David Goggins grew up in an abusive household. He struggled to read. He was obese and working in pest control as a cockroach exterminator. He decided he wanted to join the Navy SEALs and had all manner of barriers to being able to do that. His educational attainment, his physical health and fitness, and he's also a black man, and there'd been very few black men who had got through into the Navy SEALs. I'm not for a second saying that there was racism there. It's just something he articulates within his book, Can't Hurt Me. Why is this important to us? Well, he decided no more excuses, and he built his whole life and continues to build his life around discipline. He is undoubtedly extreme. However, the principles are powerful, that he transformed his physical appearance. He did make it into the Navy SEALs and now has done all manner of impressive world pull-up records, runs extreme ultra marathons, etc. Everything starts around discipline. So again, when we look at the finished version of individuals around us, it's easy to say, well, yeah, it's easy for them. Look at them, look at their talent, look at their ability. I've deliberately pulled out 2 individuals here who openly talk about the fact that they didn't have a huge amount of natural ability and they didn't start from an advantageous position. Quite the contrary, but they used discipline as their foundation to deliver high performance. So I hope both of those examples resonate with you wherever you may be on your own personal and professional journey. And my third and final example today is a gentleman called Jocko Willink, who's a former Navy SEAL commander, author of Extreme Ownership. Now, again, these are extreme examples, but they really resonate with me, and I feel they give us a framework and a perspective. Now, he talks very much around structured discipline and has a very simple but powerful quote in his book that discipline equals freedom. In what context? Well, the more disciplined your systems, the more freedom you have. The more disciplined your habits, the less chaos you encounter. And the more disciplined your leadership, the fewer fires you need to put out. All relevant touch points within his work that I think relate to us on our journey. So these examples, as I keep repeating, are there as context. Some will resonate more than others, but we are not walking this path alone. I'm talking repeatedly in all the episodes about accelerated learning. Look at the people around you. They don't get to the top of their profession. They don't find the highest levels of fulfillment by accident. They're doing it by utilizing discipline. Now's the time to bring this to life for you. The time where I share the actionable takeaways that I know you can begin implementing immediately that will enhance the level of discipline in your life. So let's jump straight into them. The tip that I will open with is reduce notification noise. With the best will in the world, you will undermine your discipline if you are being continually bombarded by notifications. I talk about this a lot in previous episodes around presence, productivity. Silence your notifications. Allow you to step into the habits that are going to serve you. Give yourself the best chance for success. Stop the bombardment. Silence notifications and allow yourself to reap the benefits of disciplined, focused work. Tip number 2, time block your high value work. I call it the power hour, and anybody that's worked with me will roll their eyes because they know how passionate I am about this. If you don't create non-negotiable time for deep, focused work on your highest priorities, then surprise, surprise, you won't get them done. You will get to the end of your week drained, fatigued, frustrated, because despite the fact that you feel like you've worked relentlessly all week and been continually firefighting and knocking over tasks, there will be big, high priority tasks that haven't been completed. I'm sure that will relate, and those are the things that drain you. So we need the ability to block off time to make it a non-negotiable priority to chunk through those big tasks. Ideally, get them off your plate by the end of the week or make a significant dent in them. And that starts with discipline, the discipline to create the time and the window to be able to attack those tasks consistently. Tip number 3, establish a morning anchor. You must find a way to build proactivity as opposed to reactivity into the start of your day. It can take a multitude of steps for that to be achieved. Maybe you sit quietly and meditate. Maybe you just sit and relax with your first cup of coffee or tea in the morning. Perhaps you journal, perhaps you read, perhaps you do some element of a workout. It doesn't need to be hours and hours. It can start with a small step, but you must do it consistently. You must be able to feel that you are starting the day with something for you, and then you will reap the benefits of that discipline in terms of energy and mindset that you carry into the day. And if that doesn't resonate, think of those crazy mornings where you arrive at work flustered, you almost need a break because of the intensity of getting everybody up and out of the family home, perhaps, the commute, looking at emails, and everything just feels chaotic. Let's have the discipline to start doing something for you. I've got lots of episodes in the back catalogue around this, and I spend a lot of time on this with individual clients to build out that high impact morning routine that will transform your energy, your resilience, and your performance. But as a key step to start with today, what one thing can you do tomorrow morning for you, even if it's just a matter of minutes, to start building discipline into your morning routine? Tip number 4, set micro standards. We'd all love that proverbial silver bullet, magic bean, do this and everything's fixed, but it's a fallacy. And rather than overwhelm ourselves looking at the end goal and think, well, if it doesn't get me to that point, it's not worth doing, make small micro steps forward. I always use health as an example because it's an easy one to break down. Maybe your health's not where you want it to be. Maybe you aspire to a different body shape, different energy, different ability to run and perform. There are end goals, but what's the micro step? It might be as simple as just going for a walk after work this evening, or getting up for your desk at lunchtime and just walking around the office, perhaps taking the stairs rather than taking the lift or the elevator every day. Find those small steps in all facets of what you do, how you communicate, how you prepare, how you look after yourself, and start compounding those small steps. Just start, take control. I promise you, when you apply that discipline, you will start to see results. But don't wait for that big one shot, that one solution, because you will wait and drift, and you will not find and feel the benefit of discipline, so you will not start taking the steps. Small micro steps, compounding, will lead to more impactful results. Just start. Start small, start today. Tip number 5, implement the reset rule. We're going to slip. We're going to make mistakes. We're human. It happens to me, to you, to all of us. Challenge yourself to have that anchor in your mind. Reset. Just say it in your head. Reset. Learn from what's just happened. Extract the good, the bad. Recognize what needs to be different and take action. Take action. The quicker you take action, the quicker you will move forward and start building momentum again. But you've got to have the discipline to force yourself to reset, to not wallow, to not get stuck in self-pity, to not let that negative experience push you into procrastination and just that old adage, get back on the horse, keep going. Or, as many of us will have experienced, get back on the bike. Remember, if you can, when you were learning to ride a bike, did you fall off? Of course you did. We all did. Was that the end of it? Did our parents take the bike away, lock it away, and say, we'll never do that again? No. The first thing they did, dust us off, put us straight back on the bike, and say, let's try again. That's a metaphor for life. Reset, get back on the bike, go again. Tip number 6, audit your comparison traps. Again, I make no apologies for how often I mention this because I see it time and again on a daily basis when I'm working with individuals, groups, face-to-face or virtually. The issue of comparison comes up time and again. It's a drain. If you compare yourself and it energizes you, well, you're in the minority. I think for the majority of us, when we engage on social media, particularly in the art of comparison, we come out of that exercise feeling drained, flat, and frustrated. So do an audit. Mute, block, unfollow any sources or individuals that you consistently, when you've been exposed to them, feel worse, feel drained. We're trying to build discipline. We're trying to build momentum. We've just talked about micro habits, small steps taken consistently. We've talked about morning routines, doing something positive for you. Comparison attacks all of that. We are less likely to take those micro steps. We are less likely to step into the day with an empowered mindset if we spend the morning scrolling and looking at things that drain our energy. Conduct the audit. You know yourself better than anybody. Where are you engaging in tasks that drain your energy and compromise your ability to bring discipline to your daily life? Tip number 7, recruit an accountability partner. We've all heard the science, and the truth is there for all of us to see. When we share a goal with somebody, when we discuss a new habit that we're trying to build with somebody, then the chance of us actively achieving that goal and consistently delivering on that habit increases enormously. And often the accountability partner can engage in the activity with you. You want to start going for a walk? Walk with a friend. Double win. You get that connectivity, but you're also working on your fitness. Perhaps that weekly walk becomes a weekly run or a weekly workout or a weekly fitness class. Find those accountability partners in your professional circles, in your personal circles, in both, and use them to help you embed the discipline and feel the rewards of consistent, disciplined action. And my final tip is celebrate the consistency, not the intensity. I talked about this in the myths at the start of the episode, but track some of those micro steps. I talk about the power of a journal frequently. Mine's never far away. Within that, I have certain daily challenges that I'm tracking. Simple things. Could be steps. It could be workout details. But when you start to write things down, however small it may be, you start to feel the benefit of that disciplined, consistent action. Maybe you go on a detox from certain news feeds, certain social media platforms. Put a tick in your journal every day that you achieve it. The more you see that action manifesting, the easier it is to engage in it and to maintain that discipline. So think of some of the things you're trying to do, track them, make a little note of them on a daily basis. I get very passionate when I'm talking about these subjects because I see the frustrations, I see the challenges that people are struggling with, and I also know there's a way through. And I really hope that talking about discipline today provides you with that route and that roadmap to keep moving forward. I hope it also reframes discipline, that it's not about severity or punishment. It's about creating the habits and the structures and the systems that give you clarity, that allow you to be able to rely on you. Irrespective of what you're faced with, you can remain calm. Whatever chaos you're trying to lead through, you can rely on you, and other people can rely on you as well. The examples we've shared today give you a snapshot of people doing extraordinary things, but based on very simple premises of disciplined, consistently applied daily action. It's there for all of us. We can all access it. We can all begin to action it. We can all become more disciplined, and I believe we will lead a higher performing more fulfilled life in our professional role and personal life as a consequence. One final request this week. When you listen to the outro of these episodes, there's that call to action where I'm always repeatedly dropping into your ears and saying, please follow the show, please like it, please share it. And I'm sure that for many of you, you've already done that. But if you haven't, please consider doing that. We've just gone through 100 episodes, 2 years of me putting my heart and soul into this content. It's freely available to support anybody on their growth and development pathway, whether you're an existing leader, an aspiring leader, or just somebody looking to lead a more high-performing life. I believe there's content in there to help people. And the facts and the data show that when people like the podcast or write a review, if you're on Apple, or follow the podcast, those actions spike the algorithms. So if it's not too much trouble, if you haven't done a star rating on one of the podcasts, just look down at your phone today. It takes 1 second to hit a star rating. If you're willing to write a review about what you like or what you get from this podcast, please do that, because it allows the content that we are working so hard to deliver to help more people. So I would be eternally grateful if the content of this show is resonating with you, that you would do that small task for me and to allow us to help even more people. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Lonely Leader podcast. I'd be very grateful if you could share and follow if the content resonates. And if you're looking for additional free resource to support your continued growth and development, then please do check out our social media and website details in the show notes. Remember, quality leadership on the outside must always start within.